Welcome to the Realm, a land of many champions and powers beyond imagination. The tales of the Realm will take us through many distinct locations and through many battles. You'll quickly realize that not every champion's story is created equally. In the beginning, there was fire and chaos as dragons ruled the realm, forcing lesser species below them to pillage for scraps. It wasn't until an enlightened human mage learned to tame the dragons that this conflict was concluded. This mage would be known as the First Warder.
Hello, I'm the First Warder.
And would form a group known as the Warders. The Warders tamed the dragons, and through trust, were even able to command them. The Warders pacifying the dragons would pave the way for equality amongst all species in the realm, and would start the path towards a golden age. But this road would face obstacles. Perhaps unhappy with the distribution of power, the goblins would attack the realm, not once, but twice. To combat this threat, a group of legendary warriors and incredible magicians would band together and form the Paladins. The magicians of the Paladins would conjure a new species of sentient rock people known as the Stagala to aid in this conflict, as well as to protect the realm in any future ones. As a result of their actions, the Goblin Scourges were quickly subdued, and the realm would enter its golden age. As an era of peace was ongoing, there was no need for warriors. The Stagala would return to the soil until needed again. The Paladins would disband, but from their remnants, the Magistrate would rise. The Magistrate would be tasked with ruling the realm and consisted of former Paladins members, most notably being led by former Paladin, now Grand Magister Karn. Under the Magistrate's rule, the realm would endure a golden age for many centuries. But a flickering light will soon dim that peace. A new discovery from the Deepworks facility: crafted crystals infused with intense levels of magic, the uses only limited by one's imagination. A crystal-crafted revolution would sweep through the realm, leading to many incredible creations. Unfortunately, a tool is an extension of its creator, and due to some sinister adaptants, there would be accidents and horrible misuse of crystal magic. The threat of mortal danger urged the Magistrate to take its stance on crystals. As a result, Grand Magister Karn banned the use of crystals from commoners, stating that this power needs to be kept in check, as further tragedies could return the realm to an era of chaos. Some agreed with Karn, wishing nothing more than for the peace to continue. Others opposed his ruling, believing the crystal power should be in the hands of all. Or perhaps they feared what the Magistrate would become with consolidated power. Of the most vocal was the near-immortal warrior and former paladin Valera. She would rally those opposed to the Magistrate and start a resistance. As part of Karn's first orders, the Magistrate would raid towns and claim any crystals from its inhabitants. However, the resistance had no plans of surrendering their crystals, for thanks in part to Barrick, the master mechanic, the rebellion weaponizes crystal magic. So when the Magistrate demanded the surrender of their crystals, there was one result: a brutal battle and the first actions of war. The Stagala, being resummoned by oath, were able to hold their own against the Magistrate, until Ash, the war machine, would arrive at the battle. With a single shot, she shattered the Stagala known as Terminus, and crushed the remaining dissidents, leading to the Magistrate's first victory against the Resistance. Strengthened by the loss of her husband, the Stagala Inara, the Stone Warden, would rally the resistance and claim many new members. Of these members are Cassie, the Hunter's daughter, and heir to House Arturus; Ying, the Blossom, a master illusionist who escaped the clutches of the Bandit King; Sha Lin, the Desert Wind, a crafty young man and former member of the Thousand Hands Guild. His skills are said to have toppled warlords as he fights against oppression. And Tyra, the Untamed, a legendary hunter and former member of the Magistrate's Sentinel Division. With founding members in tow, Valera and her resistance would take up the flag of the ancient Paladins and would once again seek to bring about peace to the realm and end the Magistrate's tyranny. To defend the realm, Grand Magister Karn would rally many loyal houses and various divisions of the Magistrate behind him. Notable Magistrate champions include Leon, scion of House Aico. After a successful ploy to claim lineage, Leon was able to secure her claim to the Ruby Throne. Now she sits in command of the Magistrate's most powerful house. Victor, the Lone Wolf, former leader of the Sentinels, an elite Magistrate military group. Though their final mission ended in a terrible failure, resulting in a loss of rank, Victor stands determined to put an end to the resistance. Torvald, the Runic Sage, the top-ranking scholar of the Magistrate and one of the architects of the Crystal Revolution. His recent discoveries of Skadron runes further push the bounds of science. Torvald credits his research to the Magistrate, and as such, wishes to end this conflict quickly. Vivian the Cunning. Through scheming and conniving, she is now the manager of the Deepworks facility. Equipped with a blender of a machine gun, she will step on anyone to climb that corporate ladder. Fernando, the Self-Appointed Knight. A defender with no formal training, this knight took up the name of his former master upon his demise, and has answered the call of the Magistrate. With his secrets buried deep in the closet, Fernando aims to be a champion of the Magistrate. Lex, the Hand of Justice. A judge of the Outer Tribunal, a group of Magistrate officers tasked with upholding the law and maintaining order. Lex has made it a goal to judge the world. Sky, the Twilight Assassin. Born to a noble family, Sky abandoned her riches to pursue her bloodlust. Training with the Thousand Hands Guild, she would go on to become an assassin. Currently under contract, she serves as one of Karn's closest advisors, whatever that means. Outside of the Magistrate and the Paladins, there exists a few outliers of neutral allegiance. A few notable champs include Zin the Tyrant. Robbed of his loyal ties, Zin now commands the Thousand Hands Guild, an organization consisting of thieves, murderers, and corrupt powers in government. The Thousand Hands care little for the Crystal conflict, and the only goal that matters to them is turning a profit in this war. Willow of the Summer Court. The Summer Court is a group of fairies who hid themselves from the world. Of these fairies exists Willow. She has made it a point to combat both sides of this conflict, as she despises modern technology. Moji and Friends. A rabbit creature known as a Lepori. She is a user of arcane magics, but only wishes to defend her home. Maeve of Blades. A street ruffian who learned to look out for herself first. She stems to profit from both sides of this war, by swiping from both sides. Her most impressive theft? A magical coat from the Magistrate's archives. As crystal weaponry becomes more prominent, the resolve of the Paladins and Magistrate would strengthen. And when there is conflict, cracks begin to form in the realm. It started as another day in the village of Seris, but the arrival of the Magistrate would shape the destinies of sisters Abby and Sarah. While it seemed like a normal town, Seris harbored a very dark secret. A portal to the abyss. A hellish landscape home to chaos, torture, and many sexy creatures. The rift was becoming unstable, and had to be quelled. Armed with prior knowledge of the abyss, the Magistrate sends in Corvus, the Magistrate's blade, son of Grand Magister Karn. He trained with the Magistrate's Outer Tribunal and studied abyssal artifacts. He intends to see peace in the realm through any means necessary. And for the village of Seris, the solution to satiate the abyss was a sacrifice. Corvus decided that Abby would be offered to the abyss, one life to save the lives of thousands. Abby accepted her role, but her sister Sarah opposed. She attacked Corvus, but was no match for him. Abby's fate was sealed. The dreaded hour arrived. The whole village gathered to witness Abby, being offered to the abyss. But the abyss cared not for a sacrifice. Rather, it wanted a body to roam the mortal world. Abby would be consumed by the abyss, as it bleached her skin and snatched her wig. Then, the abyss would be unleashed, destroying the entire village in the process. Pleased with this destruction, the being formerly known as Abby would take the name of the village she decimated and would become Seris, the Oracle of the Abyss, capable of seeing the past and possible outcomes of the future. With this power, Seris aims to alter the course of the realm's trajectory. During the sacrifice, Sarah retreated to the Cathedral of the Eternal Pyre, a heavenly place determined to keep order in the realm. There, she prayed for her sister, and prayed for the strength to combat the abyss so that no other lives would be thrown away. The pyre granted her request, infusing her with energy and great strength. Sarah was gone, and thus Furia, angel of... Oh, wait. Furia, angel of vengeance, would be born. She would then go on to directly assault the Abyss, striking down one of their abyssal lords. When she returned to the surface, she would rain fire on the Magistrate for taking her loved one. During the Golden Age, one monk would travel to Ascension Peak. There, he would step into the sky and melt into the unending universe. After his ascension, many hopeful pilgrims and lost souls sought this monk out, hoping to leave their mortal dilemmas behind. Of these pilgrims was the broken soldier Buck the Unyielding, a previous member of the Thousand Hands and the Sentinels. Witnessing Buck's dedication, Genos, the Ascended, returned. He showed Buck the wonders of the infinite universe, but there also came a warning. A darkness would one day threaten the realm. News of the Ascended's return spread like wildfire, eventually reaching the courtroom of the Ruby Throne. Leon, wishing to enlist Genos in the Magistrate, appoints the task to Khan, the Primus of House Aico and general of its armies. Khan rallies his troops and lays siege to Ascension Peak, but not before absolutely decking Victor because of... well, he yeets Vic off a cliff due to... he evicts Victor due to the intense cowardice he showed in the Sentinels. Yeah. Victor's face would never recover. The Ascended appeared to defend his domain, and with a flick of the wrist, Genos wipes out House Aico's army, leaving Khan as its only remnant. But Khan doesn't know that no means no. So Khan gets bodied, thus concluding the short-lived siege of Ascension Peak. Genos' return coincided with his plan to stop the darkness. The first step was to light the beacon of the Ancient Warders in the hopes of enlisting their aid. Once the beacon was lit, fam, the Paladins and Magistrate were drawn to its power. A battle ensued with the Paladins claiming victory and the Warders' relics. A pair of gauntlets made for channeling the elements, as well as summoning powerful dragons. The voyage to secure their prize would prove to be fatal, as on the open waters they would face Admiral Judd Roberts, the most feared pirate of the 8 oceans. He sunk the Paladins' ship and made off with their treasure. When attempting to use the Warder's relics, Judd was deemed unworthy. As he sank to the depths, a deeper power from the Abyss called to him. The Abyss would take control of Judd's body, and thus, Dredge, Admiral of the Abyss, would be reborn. Dredge would establish himself at Marauder's Port, a former lair for abyssal cultists. There he would secure his prize, and no one would take his treasure. But much to his surprise, someone answered the call of the Warders. She would quickly overpower Dredge and claim her gauntlets. This was Amani, the last Warder, and she would answer the call to protect the realm. Amani traveled to the base of the Paladins. Here, the group was strategizing its next move against the Magistrate, whose numbers seemed to have tripled in mere weeks as they claimed much territory. Amani had believed that Valera lit the beacon and wished to join her forces. Before any confusion could arise, Genos arrived and revealed the lighting of the beacon was his doing. His friend, the Moon, warned him that a darkness is coming to the realm and must be stopped. The Paladins, with new members in tow, would venture into the Shattered Desert to face their opponents. Of these new members include Koga, the Lost Hand. Shortly after the Siege of Ascension Peak, tensions would run high in the Thousand Hands Guild. Koga, the Lost Hand, would return. Originally a street rat, Koga was brought into the Thousand Hands and trained by Zin. Sometime after his harsh training, Koga was betrayed by his family, perhaps due to being jealous of his paintbrush hair. One day, Koga returned to claim revenge upon his former master. However, Zin was well protected by Sky. Koga and Sky would do battle, seemingly with it ending in a draw. And Talus of the Squadron, a child. Specifically, a child of the Squadron, a race of human-like creatures with horns and tails. Because of these features, many consider the Squadron to be demons. The Shattered Desert used to be a lush forest, until shards of the moon fell out of the sky. They stripped a vibrant environment of all life. As they traveled deeper, suddenly, in this lifeless landscape, tears in reality would begin to form. The factions being drawn to this oddity would do battle. The Magistrate would lose its upper hand and its opponents, as both sides lost sight of each other during the conflict. As the Paladins regrouped, a hulking figure would emerge from these tears. Atlas, the man out of time, would meet with Valera and the Paladins. He explained that by using crystal technology, he was able to travel back in time to prevent the end of this realm, an end spurred by the rash actions of the Magistrate. Following the realm's original timeline, the Magistrate would claim victory in the Shattered Desert, and Corvus would unknowingly unleash the darkness into the realm. The darkness would consume and corrupt everything in the land until nothing and no one was left. With Atlas in tow, the Paladins' mission was clear: to stop the Magistrate from claiming the Moon Shards. The Paladins and Magistrate would arrive at Bazaar, a nearby village in the Shattered Desert, where the followers of Io worshipped the moon. There, Atlas would be overpowered by Terminus, the Fallen. The Stagala, formerly loyal to the Paladins, has been corrupted with abyssal energy and is now under the control of Corvus. Thanks to the aid of Amani, Atlas was saved, but the Battle of Bazaar was lost. After their defeat, Valera and Genos urged the Goddess of the Moon to join their fight. And finally, after eons, Io, the Shattered Goddess, descended upon the mortal realm. In the past, Io was the moon, one being, until she was shattered. Now the moon is split into two beings: Io, who took the form in which her followers envisioned her as, and Luna, who takes a form closer to the moon goddess's whole appearance. Their first act on the mortal plane was to liberate Bazaar by shooting Corvus. After the loss of Bazaar, Officer Corvus, now desperate and injured, sought an answer on how to defeat the Paladins. He feared that they had become too powerful, now hosting not one, but two gods, as well as all the other overpowered champions in their roster. The answer to reclaim power would come from the Abyss. Seris appeared to Corvus and offered him a deal: an Abyssal Lord at his disposal, one who would be loyal to him. Jumping at the thought of controlling another beefcake, Corvus seized the opportunity. With Seris' aid, they opened a portal to the Abyss, and from it emerged Raum, Rage of the Abyss, an Abyssal Lord hell-bent on chaos and destruction as he constantly seeks out the next battle. Surely, this would level the playing field. Unfortunately, Raum said, "You ain't the boss of me, boy," and left Corvus' side to spread chaos throughout the realm. Shortly after the destruction of Seris, a powerful weapon would call for a hero. This weapon was a sword crafted by the Pyre, capable of expelling abyssal influence. The champion to claim this holy weapon would be Tiberius the Weapons Master, a member of the Tigron, a race of French tiger people.
Oui, Tiberius would take the fight to Rome himself.
Their battle was long and tedious, and eventually ended in a draw. Perhaps Rom was scared of a furry. Once Rom was dispatched, Corvus would stand trial for his many screw-ups, crimes against the realm, and would ultimately be exiled from the Magistrate for his recklessness.
You are banished. Leave this palace immediately.
Corvus would remain loyal to the Magistrate and amass a small platoon of followers under his new Shadow Tribunal. In the Shattered Desert, the followers of Io would anoint certain members to their highest calling, joining the Martial Order. The task of these warriors was to protect the seals of the moon that kept chaos at bay. But, shortly after the Battle of the Shattered Desert, there would be many crusades by the Magistrate, with the goal being to claim the moon shards for themselves. With each crusade, the martial warriors' numbers would dwindle. The Acolytes believed that Io would save them from such a grim fate. Eventually, all but one warrior remained. Having lost all hope in life and being extremely angry at Io, she would release the darkness that she'd previously fought to keep sealed away. Becoming corrupted with its power, Vora, the Harbinger, would rise. She wishes to end the realm's suffering by ushering in Armageddon. Vora would go on to vandalize the bazaar, catching the attention of the law. Fortunately, she saw this pursuit as a great way to test her new abilities. Her pursuer quickly became her target, and Lex was on the run. Before she could land the finishing blow, Atlas, now hosting a unique way to hold a firearm, would appear to save his future father. Outnumbered, Vora retreated to the Shattered Desert, where her new ally was waiting. The doomed hour is upon us. Atlas rallies a band of champions to his side. Together, they could change the outcome of this realm. As they ventured into the Shattered Desert, they were met by the darkness itself. Yaggorath, the Devourer. Eons ago, when the moon was shattered, that was Yaggorath. She swam across the stars and crash-landed on the moon, breaking it. Yaggorath would end up being sealed in a fragment of the moon as it hurtled towards the realm. Though trapped, her influence was great, as her presence drained all life out of the Shattered Desert. This is the same creature who was responsible for ending the realm's existence in the original timeline. This realm would face the same fate and once again submit to the Maw. Yaggorath opens the fight with a swift slap to Atlas, knocking him down. Cassie and Victor attempt to combo the worm, but they get slapped around too. Lex is up next, and he decides to finally use his ult. Sadly, nobody got Yaggorath into kill percent, so she lives. As she turns her attention to a downed Atlas, Lex intercepts her attack, and is seemingly killed by a barrage of piercing quills. Sha Lin lands a volley of arrows in the worm. As the rest of the crew goes for the assault, Vora defends her new bug pal, and knocks Zin on his ass. Ash goes for the shoulder bash on Vora, knocking her out. As Zin and Sha Lin retreat, Atlas musters up his strength for one last attack on the worm, and misses. And thus, this ragtag team of jobbers is defeated. Atlas had failed his mission. The darkness was unleashed, and Yaggorath was on the loose. Yaggorath would go on to assault many locations in the north of the realm. The Magistrate and Paladins resisted as best they could, but they were no match for this worm. For as long as she consumed, she would grow. To combat all this carnage, it would take a special type of leader to exist in this new battlefield. Commander Octavia the Indomitable. In the past, Octavia lost her leg during Furia's assault on the Magistrate. Thanks to Torval, a new prosthetic was put in its place. Once she was whole again, Octavia would re-enlist in the Magistrate's army, and now would be the first to take up arms against the worm. The Magistrate called for all houses to defend the realm. The Ruby Throne sends in Ray, scholar of House Aico, to the battlefield. This intelligent Lepori transformed herself to appear more human. Perhaps she knew that House Aico hosted incredible prejudice, or maybe she wanted to be kawaii. You will? Either way, she was here with a plan to keep everyone alive. As Yaggorath rampaged the north, Vora's trail of destruction led south. There, she faced an incredible target, Vaatu the Shadow, a Skadrin who did not fear the dark, a legendary assassin and contract killer for the Thousand Hands. His skills so great that some even doubted his existence. Vora would attempt to end the Shadow's life, but after exchanging ults, Vaatu dashed away. Amidst all this insanity, Skye would go to a bar to confront the Dark Elf who had been stealing her kills. There she would meet Sati the Trickshot. She's a merc for hire, and with her expensive ensemble of gadgets like a cardboard cutout of herself, she always gets the job done. After throwing a drink, Sati proceeds to beat the silicone out of Skye. Okay, back to the chaos. Yaggorath's year-long assault has shown no signs of slowing down. Now in a standoff against Octavia and Furia, the worm knocks the angel on her butt. Maybe if she picked Exterminate, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Before she can land the final blow, Yaggorath is interrupted by Pyre Lord Azaan, the Eternal. As the whole realm leans into their seats to witness this epic battle between the Pyre and Maw, Azaan one-shots Yaggorath, then banishes her to the void.
The void.
And thus, the Darkness Rampage concludes. With her bug friend squished, Vora retreats. She will go on to live in caves and eat dirt. Now that Yaggorath was defeated, the realm had united against a single threat. Valera, realizing that recent victories were only made possible by gods such as Io and Azaan, decided to slip away, disbanding the Paladins once again. Her rival, Grand Magister Karn, would step down to live amongst the goblins in secret, now entrusting leadership of the Magistrate to House Aico, with Leon taking the mantle of Grand Magister. Celebrations across the realm took place, many believing that the shift in leadership would spin the wheel towards an era of peace. Unfortunately, House Aico are a bunch of racists.
Have you heard the Skadrin proverb about honor? It doesn't exist! Ha!
Magistrate soldiers were permitted to use any means necessary to deal with rebels. Skadrin, in particular, were subject to the most violent of discipline. Noticing an opportunity to take the throne that was stolen from him, Zin permitted all Thousand Hands members to attack House Aico troops whenever they harm another being. He would go on to appoint Vaatu to eliminate a magistrate captain. This captain earned a reputation of targeting Skadrin and committing many heinous acts. As Vaatu readies for the kill, a child rushes in and punches the captain in the face. Suddenly, an onslaught of soldiers rush in, but Talus is able to defend himself. In the midst of this struggle, the captain pulled his gun. Before he could aim, Vaatu intervened, ending his life. After the battle, Talus introduces himself to his fellow Skadrin. Vaatu, impressed with his prowess, offers to train the young one and hone his skills. During the report of his success, Zin realizes the opportunity presented to him. The face of the new resistance would be an innocent child with a hope for a better future. Zin couldn't be happier. The fire he started would spread quickly throughout the realm. With Talus at the forefront and the guise of a better life for all races, the resistance would garner many supporters and new members. In the midst of all this, Betty La Bomba, the Bomb Queen, and former Magistrate Borderlord would reclaim her land that was taken from her. And an ancient ghost, Kasumi, Death's Howl, would re-emerge. She would then proceed to auto-aim a random magistrate guard and vow to exact revenge upon the house that betrayed her. During this shift of power, the Magistrate's outer tribunal would have Corvus pay for his crimes against the realm. They would send in Seven, the right hand of the tribunal. He would infiltrate Corvus's camp and murder several guards before executing Corvus himself. But this was not the end of Corvus's story. Leon still had use of him. After recovering his near-lifeless body, Leon called upon an old friend,
Good evening.
Lilith the Heartless. This once former Magistrate Border Lord was critically injured during a battle with the Resistance. As she neared death's door, Lilith was granted new life by the Queen of the Abyss. Now Lilith is capable of extending this gift to others, but not without cost. Lilith would proceed to revive Corvus. His second life would be kept secret from all, including his own father. Now sworn into being an abyssal researcher, under heavy supervision from Ray and Vivian, Corvus would be tasked with locating an abyssal artifact for Lilith, as payment for her services. The artifact, an abyssal crown, would be located, but the Abyss was not the only one seeking it out. As the Abyss neared its prize, they were faced with Caspian, thief of hearts and treasure. The scoundrel would quickly dispose of the abyssal threats and swipe the crown for himself.
Of course not.
He would go on to flaunt his prize at a nearby bar. There he would enlist Sati to aid in defending his winnings. Lilith would not stand to lose such a valuable artifact. She would confront Sati and Caspian, beat them up, and reclaim the Abyss's treasures. Lilith would return to the rift at Seris. Using the artifact, she would summon Nyx, Queen of the Abyss, to the realm. A former Pyre Lord, Nyx grew discontent with the Pyre's rigid rules. With a few whispers from Seris, she would travel to the Abyss. After a violent bloodbath, Nyx would take the title as Queen of the Abyss. Now, she would reclaim her crown and take to the skies to visit an old flame. With the realm incapable of dealing with its many threats, Azaan feared that it would succumb to abyssal influence. The only way to prevent this was to purge the realm. Azaan would return to the skies and ready the Dawnforge, a mobile fortress capable of destroying the entire realm. As he readied for the realm's destruction, Nyx would infiltrate the Dawnforge and confront Azaan. An age-old conflict between Pyre and Abyss reignited between the former lovers, with Nyx emerging victorious. After a non-consensual smooch, she would place an abyssal throne on the Dawnforge, forcing its control to her. Azaan, having succumbed to Nyx's latest hentai addiction, would be forced to watch a new era come to this realm. Hearing word of Azaan's plan, Furia wished to prevent this. She traveled to the Pyre looking for the Dawnforge, but it had already been dispatched, and Azaan was nowhere to be found. Desperate, she would take to the village of Seris searching for clues. Instead of answers, she would face the Oracle. The sisters would do battle. As Furia readied for the killing blow, she was intercepted by Wrong. Outnumbered, Furia would retreat. Her new goal was to seek out allies against the Abyss. In the Red River tribe of the Orcs, Grok, the Lightning Orc, would recount the tales of the realm. Grok would claim that the Pyre is not an ally, they only seek the destruction of the Abyss. Grok would leave his village, hoping to reform the Paladins, as they are the only ones who truly care for the realm as a whole. He would reach out to Beric and Cassie, who would reach out to Tyra and Grover the Wild. A tree. The embodiment of the green itself, Grover stands with those who will defend nature. As the new group forms, Grok asks who the leader will be. With Valera gone, the next logical choice would be Inara. Grok would track her down in the Shattered Desert. There, she was attempting to locate Terminus, but to no avail. With some convincing, Inara would step up as leader, and the new Paladins would be formed. At this very moment, Furia would barge in and relay the situation in Seris. The new Paladins would reach out to all available allies to aid in this endeavor. Their ranks would gain Strix, the Ghost Feather, a former Sentinels member and depressed sniper of the old Magistrate. Pip, the Rogue Alchemist, a fox creature known as a Vulpin, from Brightmarsh. He would test his various concoctions on foe or friend. And Bomb King, His Majesty, the destructive creation of Betty La Bomba. During a battle with the Resistance, Bomb King would annihilate both the opposing and ally armies. He would then set off on a delusional quest of self-rule to the realm. The new Paladins journeyed to the village of Seris. Strix signaled that all of the Abyss was here to see this moment through. The battle would ensue. Grover, Pip, and Bomb King would keep Braum busy, while Barrack and Tyra would attack Dredge's fleet. Anara, Furia, and Cassie would enter the town to find Seris summoning another rift. Before they could intervene, Lilith would taunt the new Paladins with some harsh words. Anara shakes it off and prepares to skewer Seris. We all know by now, the killing blows aren't allowed in the realm, so Nyx emerges from the rift and stops the assault. Anara demands to know who this new Roomba saleswoman is. Nyx introduces herself as the Savior Queen. Under her rule, the realm will truly have freedom as it falls to chaos. She would bring the Abyss to the realm itself. Anara commands the new Paladins to shut down the portal, but the Abyss takes to defense, leaving no opening. Suddenly, Bomb King pops ult, and the town of Seris is bombed once again. As both parties retreat, Nyx walks to the remnants of the rift. The new Paladins failed to stop her plan. Her disciple was on its way. Hearing news that the realm is once again in danger, Atlas says, "You know what? Screw this. I'm out of here." Using his time-traveling tech, he traveled to an alternate version of the realm. One where there was no resistance or magistrate. He would go on to get married, build a farm, and even have a daughter. He would stash his journal and chronal technology away, and Atlas would finally live a life unlived. Back to our realm. Sky reports to Leon that Ascension Peak is under attack from the Abyss. Leon summons Lilith, stating that she was to control the situation at Seris. Lilith claims that the Paladins did bury the rift at Seris, but she allowed her queen to have her disciple. For leverage. All the disciple wants is to witness the fall of Genos. With the god disposed of, House Aico could undo their greatest defeat and finally claim Ascension Peak. Leon disperses her court and has Khan ready the Aico troops. Sky leaves and reports in to Xin. After hearing of her plan, Xin mobilizes his resistance. Sky leaves for one last destination, the base of the new Paladins. There she reports in to Anara. With intel in hand, the Paladins depart to Ascension Peak to save Genos. At the gates, Raum is standing guard when he is viciously assaulted by Tiberius, who's eager for a rematch. House Aico troops arrive and begin evacuating the monks. As the army nears the courtyard, they are met by Omen, disciple of the Abyss. In the past, Omen climbed a volcano, hoping to gain enlightenment and power, such as the likes of Genos. Instead of answers, Omen was met with silence. Lost in rage, Omen threw himself towards the lava below. Before he perished, Nyx answered his call. Transforming him into an agent of the Abyss, Omen now has the power to rival Genos, and he will see the false god destroyed. Genos pleads for his life, but it falls on deaf ears. Omen is having none of it. He summons his ult, and Genos stands in the beam like a dingbat. Omen readies the final shot. He pulls the trigger, and the illusion of Genos is shattered. Suddenly, Buck, Koga, and Ying of the Resistance appear to take on Omen. Talus swoops in and punches Omen in the skull, knocking him back. Vatu then reveals himself as he readies the killing blow. But of course, the auto-aim woman has to ruin everything, and pops her ult, hitting both Omen and Vatu. Ying and Buck face off against the impending Aico troops, as Xin whirls into the fight. After some taunting, Leon and him are caught in a brawl. Out of nowhere, a stone erupts from the ground, knocking Xin on his ass. Again. The Paladins had arrived, and paused the conflict. Anara demands to know the whereabouts of Nyx and Omen. Genos reveals that they are at the heart of the mountain seeking power. Anara and Furia make their way down. They ready their weapons for battle. But Seris has a few things to say.
Your husband dead. Your sister dead. I mean, clearly you don't own an air fryer.
Stunned with agony, the two are engulfed in Omen's ult, and the entire mountain caves in on them. And thus, The new Paladins had failed. Ascension Peak had fallen to abyssal influence. Nyx summons another throne and cackles at her conquest. It was weeks since the fall of Ascension Peak. The Magistrate gained skeptics, the Resistance faced inner conflict, and the Paladins were unorganized since their failure. The only section of peace left in the realm was the Bazaar. There, Io and Luna would provide healing to those torched by the desert. Unbeknownst to the residents, they also had a second protector. As night approaches, a void rift opens. Out emerges Seris and Raum. Seris points out Io, and Raum charges in. The battle begins. Io lands a few hits, Luna lands the stun. But Raum shakes these attacks off and slams Io into a wall. Realizing what's about to happen, Io quickly switches talents as Luna darts off. Io is then pelted by bullets, but before she is finished, Luna trades places with her and puts the talent on cooldown. Luna, now weakened, is at the mercy of Raum. Before the assault could continue, the little fox is saved by Vora. Together, they hold Raum back. Suddenly, the voice of Yaggorath urges Vora to seal him away, as his rage may prove useful. Together, Vora and Luna retreat to the Shattered Desert, to the seal where Yaggorath was once imprisoned. Vora would go on to recite the incantation of the seal.
Escucha las palabras de las brujas, los secretos escondidos en la noche. Los antiguos dioses invocamos ahora la obra de la magia oculta.
And thus, Raum would be banished to the void.
The void. Happy Valentine's Day.
Following the battle, Vora would vow to protect the people of the Shattered Desert. She shooed Luna away, swearing to one day destroy Io. But for now, she had another goal: to find Atlas. Following recent events, Amani announces that she is seeking out new warders to train for ensuring the realm's protection. Though training will be tough and consist of mild loadout judging, Amani already has a line of new recruits. Back at House Aico, Ray has organized a Magistrate Parade to boost morale in light of recent controversies. First on the agenda was meeting the Royal Guard to discuss the fall of Ascension Peak. Leon's hair was looking perfect during the meeting. Second was meeting with Cassie from the recently reformed House Arturus. Leon and her discussed the end of the burst meta. Leon is so funny. Third was meeting with Fernando to discuss his scouting of Seris. Leon was noticeably bored during this. And then finally, the feast. Ray loves watching Leon eat. As the two houses gather for Aico cuisine, Io crashes the party. She claims to have hosted a house prior, and wishes to join House Aico and the Magistrate once again. As Leon and Io shake hands, the Magistrate's prowess is stronger than ever. Leon definitely has a tough grip. Back at the Dawnforge, as it is slowly turning into an abyssal fortress, Azaan is left to wander in his mind. How did he miss so many opportunities to combat the Abyss? Could he have prevented the tragedy at Seris? Should he have stopped Corvus from interfering? Was he really busted upon release? He battled lesser lords like Dredge and Raum, so how did he lose so fast to Nyx? His thoughts would be interrupted by none other than Moji, who had infiltrated the Dawnforge. Using her magic, she is able to free Azaan from his bondage by turning him into a cookie. As payment for saving him, Moji demands that Azaan help her deal with the darkness threat back at the Greenwood. As they escape, Willow destroys the Dawnforge. As Moji and Azaan return to the realm, Moji fills the deity in on what's been happening. She mentions that both Yaggorath and Raum have returned, and are once again causing havoc. As they enter town, they witness Pip and Willow teasing Raum. Azaan intervenes, hoping to put an end to the demon. As the two lords battle, Moji, Pip, and Willow travel deeper into the forest. There they encounter a significantly smaller form of Yaggorath. The three attack. Yaggorath reciprocates. During the fight, Moji launches a treat directly into Yaggorath's mouth. But alas, Yaggorath likes salty food, not sweet. Disgusted beyond imagination, Yaggorath charges towards Moji. Before the attack connects, Grover appears to defend Moji. Yagarath, not wanting to eat vegan today, retreats. The group of allies return to Greenwood, where Raum has the upper hand against Azaan. Moji taunts him by saying that he'll never get reworked like her. Those harsh words force Raum to retreat. To celebrate their victory, the new gang sits down for a hot meal of stew. And thus, that is where the story of our Champions of the Realm concludes. For now. Nearly a year later, and this project is finally done. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy Sims content, I'd like to recommend my new Sims channel, Hello Yellow. There, I will be posting life sim related videos such as Let's Plays, challenges, mod reviews, and discussions. There should already be a few videos up at this time. I'd really appreciate it if you check the channel out. Link to it will be in the description, as well as the pinned comment. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to clap that like button and laser down that sub button. Snatching the bell is also a great way to stay in the loop. As always, I'm YellowNinja, and peace.